In my early days, I'd have clients come in for past life regressions, and I was a little bit like, well, they've just read Brian Weiss's books and they know the general style and they're just sort of going along with that. And when I met people who knew nothing, not into any of this stuff, they'd come up with exactly the same things out of nowhere
Yeah.
with no background whatsoever, textbook sessions according to what books say it should be. The level of credibility that it gave me in my early days, that was important and just fascinating to see.
I like the fact that I didn't know a lot. I had read books on different things, but when all this started happening to me, I didn't know what it was. So I had
Yeah.
to kind of go backwards and figure it out. And even now, in meditations, when I would get a word and I get kind of like it comes across like this, the word, and I'm spelling it out the first time, and I remember saying that's not a word, and it was samadhi.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
was in this state of being where there's no time, no place, no thing. And I saw that and I said, well, I'm going to Google it. And when I Googled it, I was shocked because I had never heard it before in my life. And I thought, okay, wow, that is not only is it a word, but now I have to believe it. So it's kind of, I find that more refreshing and more validating, I guess, because you don't feel like, well, maybe I had these preconceived ideas and I'm trying to will it into happening or wish it into happening.
Exactly. My example to that would be Kundalini awakening, which is I had experiences myself, and my girlfriend at the time had really out of the box experiences. So I was researching what on earth is this, and I was just reading through the books. I go, oh, okay, that explains a lot. I know it inside out, and I get it. There can be that thing of wanting it or aspiring towards it. It's part of that thing where allowing things to happen. I think a lot of those books are really useful for after the fact, you know. So,
Exactly.
yeah, so I think a part of people on the spiritual awakening path, one thing I think it's quite useful to have patience and persistence and do the work. So,
Yes.
again, while we're telling these stories, it's a little bit like, oh, I want to have an experience like that. But notice, maybe if you're in your 20s, these things happen, they take time a little bit.
Hmm.
And there's that metaphor of, really sweep the temple steps before going in and expecting the spiritual
Yes.
fireworks. The
Right.
other part is you can have spiritual fireworks early on, but then be grasping and chasing them ever afterwards, as opposed to
Exactly.
integrating it and just keep again doing a bit more of just the day-to-day work. What do you think
Yeah.
about that for people into spiritual awakening?
Oh, I think because even looking back as I'm discussing my spiritual awakening, I think, oh wow, I haven't had that since. Like I don't have that every day, and I kind of miss it. But it was a door that opened, and I went through it, and that was the opening of the door. And I have so many different experiences that I look back now, and we don't have enough time to talk about them, where I think, wow. But it's how, again, when you just live with it now and you integrate it. And I've had people when I've told them my story that will say, well, why can't I have that? And what's wrong with me that I'm not having that? Everybody is different, and you're on a different path.
Yeah.
My path, I literally think that you talked about your other life where you put it off, you kept putting it off.
Yeah.
In this life, I believe I did the same thing, and it literally was a kick in the pants. Like it was, come on, we're gonna hit you with something you can't deny and you can't ignore. And I think that's my journey.
Well, I had exactly the same thing, and it was undeniable. That did change my life past, but the trap was I also, got the fireworks, the amazing story. This will be a great YouTube video kind of a thing. But then,
I
and I had the bliss afterwards, and then it fades away. And so,
know.
like a junkie, I'm like, well, I've got to hang around this meditation center. I can't leave Nepal. That's the
Yes.
source of the good stuff,
Hmm.
And so then I'd meditate and it'd be like, what, you're chasing the dragon? You're just trying to get another bliss experience, another magical fireworks, super interesting thing. No, go out there and just and do work. Put up a website, get some training, follow the rules, do your yama niyama, your disciplines. Don't it's fascinating to take all sorts of hallucinogenics and stuff. Just put in the work. Don't chase anything that's going to give you more highs because it's
Yeah.
still ups and
There's no
downs.
shortcut to
And
it.
you
There really isn't.
Yeah, and you're judging that spiritual experience as good, and the humdrum that getting business done, earthly grounded stuff is bad or not as good as that.
Yeah.
Where there's nothing's higher or lower. Even the high spiritual experiences are not higher than just taking the steps forward to get the work done. And so that it's, you have the experience, but then chop wood, carry water afterwards, keep on going. I think that's one. So
Exactly.
that'll be one message for me, for people having spiritual awakenings and then noticing maybe, yeah, I'm kind of getting stuck in that a little bit, but what do I do afterwards? It's either this is crazy, I don't know what to do. Barb and I understand. But once I have integrated it, do I keep chasing it? And that may be okay to do that. Maybe it would have been good if I'd sat in the monastery for another 20 years. Could have been a good path, but it wasn't for me. But what I find is once you have those kind of experiences, going into this kind of holistic healing is a really good way of integrating it, and taking it forward the next steps. And just trying to hit the button and have the same thing that you had in the past again may not be the way.